Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about economics and crypto and lots of other fun things. Hey, I'm going to do something a little bit different over the next week or so because next week I am going out of town on a retreat for either 2 or 3 days. It hasn't been nailed down yet. And I would like to have videos scheduled, but there's no way I'm going to be able to do my regular 20-minute or so content. And so I'm going to be making a series of shorter videos over the next few days and then releasing them on particular days. So just so you know, that's the plan, but I hope that you will still gain some value from a little bit deeper of an analysis on different charts that are presented in front of you, excuse me. And so in this video, I wanted to look at a very interesting chart from Benjamin Cohen. You know, Benjamin Cohen, Into the Cryptoverse, 1 million followers on X, almost 1 million on YouTube. So he put together this chart. Bitcoin dominance plus ETH dominance plus USDT dominance plus USDC dominance. And so these are four of the six, I think, largest cryptos in the world. Obviously, two of them are stable coins, USDT, USDC. Bitcoin and ETH are regular non-stable coins. And what do we have here? So it's a trend. It's a line of support that is most of the time hit when you add all four of these together: Bitcoin dominance, Ethereum dominance, USDT dominance, USDC dominance. Around 82% tends to mark a local top. But something that I found interesting here is if you look at the dates, it doesn't quite, I don't know entirely what to make of the dates. So we have this first one, 82.03%, July of 2019. And actually that one does make sense. That was the peak of the bear market rally in July. It ended late June, early July of 2019. And then we have COVID, the COVID crash. Really interesting. Shortly after the COVID crash, or right around the COVID crash in 2020. And then we have the end of 2020 going into 2021. A big blow off top in Bitcoin dominance is what caused that big spike there to go above the range. And that preceded a massive, massive move in altcoins. But then, you know, until 2023, we didn't really see much. Late June, early July 2023. End of 2023, that's November-ish of 2023. That was right around the time that Bitcoin broke out of a 200-day range. And then we saw a nice movement in altcoins. And then fast forward, I think that's actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this 82.03% level was the August 5th bottom of 2024. So yeah, we're in 2024 right now. And so then what do we have? 81.99% around the time of the inauguration. And then here we are again, 82.18%. And so what do we make of this? I want to try to think through this in terms of what does this mean? I know a lot of people, all right, what about Altseason? I'm getting the question over and over again. What about Altseason? Is there something that we can put together to make a case that maybe what precedes this is a move in a good direction in altcoins? And I think that there's a case to be made at the very least that we're not going to see all that much higher in Bitcoin dominance from here. And that, you know, absolute best case scenario. Now, could we have a blow off top in Bitcoin dominance like we saw at the end of 2020? I would actually say that's best case scenario. And let's see it. I mean, Bitcoin at the moment that I'm making this video is $109,600. It's just barely away from its previous, it's $112,000 peak. And so could we see a breakout above the previous all-time high, and actually could we go into price discovery? Maybe there's remember this trend line from 2017 what if we were to break this blue trend line here? If we were to break that, could we go to price discovery with Bitcoin? I think that's very possible. Absolutely. So maybe then we would have that big breakout in Bitcoin dominance, and then USDT dominance, USDC dominance, and ETH dominance wouldn't go down all that much, but Bitcoin dominance would have that final blow off top before a big dump. I would say that's best case scenario. But if this is another peak, just another local top, where do we go from here is the question that I want to ask. And so I would say every one of these times that these all four of these Bitcoin, ETH, USDT dominance, USDC dominance got to these levels, that was a local top in Bitcoin dominance. So there's a positive to be gleaned from there. These were all very good times to buy altcoins. So there's thesis number one. I don't know if I want to call it thesis number one, but that would communicate to me that this is a good time to buy altcoins. Inauguration day, honestly, was not a good time to buy altcoins. Other times, though, they were good times to buy altcoins. It's not entirely a mixed bag here, I would say, in general. I mean, especially Inauguration Day was a big spike up in Bitcoin dominance. And remember Trump coin and all that caused that to happen. So what about now? Well, here's something that I'm looking at here. Bitcoin dominance. I know, what should I say here? Now, it did hit a new cycle top. It got up to 66%. But there's something about right now that would make me think like, all right, if this is another peak here, if it is, that we're running out of steam of Bitcoin dominance. Could we have another ideal, I would say, scenario, end of 2020, early 2021 scenario, where we break out very aggressively and then come right back down? Sure, maybe that would be the case. And from here, maybe, Bitcoin dominance could spike up real quick to 70% or 68%, something like that. Sure, but then, looking at Ethereum dominance, ETH dominance, even though this broke this wedge to the downside, I would say that this is still a very bullish chart. And if you look at Ethereum priced in Bitcoin, this is a bullish chart. Now, all right, do we want Ethereum dominance to rise? We do. We want Ethereum dominance to rise, but Bitcoin dominance to fall faster, and definitely USDT and USDC dominance. So that's a bullish chart. The ETH Bitcoin chart's a bullish chart. ETH dominance chart, I would say overall is a bullish chart. I would describe this as a pretty typical Wyckoff accumulation chart, reaccumulation chart after a breakout. So let's see ETH dominance climb and Bitcoin dominance go down faster. Could we please? That sounds good to me. Wyckoff reaccumulation, even Ethereum, I would say textbook Wyckoff reaccumulation, Ethereum priced in the dollar. And then the big thing, now I don't analyze USDC dominance all that much, but USDT dominance, could we see this go down and lose this range? Then this is a multi-year range, this red line. We did lose it in November, but we did not lose this level of support, 3.79%. That goes way back. 3.79% USDT dominance. We didn't lose that. But I mean, from here, from where we are now, if we were to lose this trend line, a move down to 3.79% would be significant for USDT dominance. So I know it has been incredibly difficult to navigate this market that we're in terms of altcoins. I'm wondering, what could trigger an end? Well, I've showed you this with Bitcoin dominance before. Let me show you it again. All right. Quantitative tightening versus quantitative easing. So let me clean this up a little bit. And what if? All right, here's a scenario. I wouldn't call this a trigger. I would call it maybe just the stars aligning. What if USD, not USDT, no. What if quantitative tightening officially ends at the next Fed meeting? When is the next Fed meeting? It's in July. I don't remember exactly. I think July 19th. Is that right? No, it's 27 days from now. So end of July, July 30th. Are we willing to wait that long? Is the market willing to wait that long? I don't know. But July 30th, what if they put an end to quantitative tightening? And what's the significance of that? Well, look at post quantitative tightening in 2019 going into 2020. Bitcoin dominance just it trended down a little bit, which I think most of us would take right now. What if Bitcoin dominance? What if Bitcoin got up to $155,000 or $200,000 and Bitcoin dominance did not rise anymore? Would you take that? At this point in time, I would take that. Or maybe even, it would trend down from here. End of quantitative tightening, official quantitative tightening at least. The only other gap period we can see here, it was flat. Bitcoin dominance was flat. The time between quantitative easing ending and quantitative tightening beginning. And so maybe we're going to be looking flat or down with Bitcoin dominance with the end of quantitative tightening coming in. So I see some reasons for hope, some real reasons for hope when it comes to altcoins actually making some noise, or just not bleeding anymore in comparison to Bitcoin. And this chart is a compelling reason based off of everything that I'm saying to you as to why that could be the case. Another local peak, another 82% move in Bitcoin dominance, in total dominance between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the stable coins. And if we were to break out to the upside, I'd be even more excited about altcoins, but we'd have to wait a little bit. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any thoughts on this, let me know. But that's going to be it for today. Hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you in another video. Peace.